How's it going, guys? My name is Graham and welcome to Two Left Thumbs. I ended last year by doing a deep dive on secrets, Easter eggs, and references in Deltarune, so it only makes sense that I would end this year by starting a similar series on Undertale. I'm kind of doing things out of order, but that game really opened up a much deeper appreciation of this series for me, and so I wanted to go back and revisit this game very thoroughly. We have the added benefit of having the hindsight of people playing this game for years at this point, so I'm hoping I can assemble bits and pieces that people have been collecting for years at this point and synthesize it into a nice one-stop shop for all these cool little things within this game as you do the different runs: neutral, pacifist, genocide, true pacifist, true genocide. There are so many branches and deviations and changes within this game that it's going to become pretty complicated to cover, so it's a nice simple starting point. I just want to focus on the ruins because not a lot changes within them, and we can somewhat isolatedly cover all of that all at once and kind of just be done with it. I should say right at the top of this is going to be so insanely spoilery for all of Undertale and probably to some extent Deltarune, so just be mindful of that. As I'm sure many of you know by this point, there are secret hidden messages when you name your character very specific things. There are a handful of names that are straight up forbidden. You're not allowed to do it. For example, the first one is Alfie's. When we try to accept it, don't do that. It doesn't matter if you capitalize the whole name or not, or any of that, it'll register the same either way. But we get these little flavor texts that are delivered to us in character as whoever it is whose name we're trying to kind of co-op for ourselves. With Asgore, we get "you cannot" as kind of a 1-2 sort of punch situation. When we first do Asriel, we just get this little ellipses, no actual proper response. But when we do Flowey, I already chose that name. Toriel, I think you should think of your own name, my child. And finally, Undyne gets your own name. Now, there are multiple other names that do actually work. It will allow you to use these names. 6 is a very common, repeating, important thing throughout these games, also very commonly tied to Gaster. If anyone wants a very overly thorough breakdown on everything Gaster, including how the number 6 plays into it, you should check out this video here, because I go into it very, very deeply. Interestingly, in this intro sequence, there are 6 forbidden names with 6 letters each, and then Sans acting as a small exception to that rule. He's the 7th forbidden name, and it's the only one that isn't 6 letters long. With Sans, nope. It's worth noting that this thing maxes out at 6 letters. When you try to enter a longer, 7-letter name like Papyrus, it ends up overwriting itself. So instead, let me use that to introduce the list of allowable names that don't get a special flavor text. The closest you can get there is Papyru, and you'll get "I'll allow it." You can then name yourself after various characters and monsters within the game. Aaron. Is this name correct? Question mark, the little winky face. If we hold ourselves 1 letter shy with Alfie instead of Alfies. Okay. Catty. Bratty, that's my name. And instead Bratty, okay, I guess. B pants for our lovely burger pants. You are really scraping the bottom of the barrel. Gerson, our sweet learned turtle. Why not? Jerry? Jerry. Now, there's 3 here that all give the same flavor text. If you either do MTT, METT, or Meta, METTA, we get, "Ooh, are you promoting my brand?" For Napsta, they're powerless to stop you. If we were to do Blukey, we actually get the same. There's still a pause. They're powerless to stop you. Shiren, just an ellipses and a question mark. Temmie, hoy! Washua, clean name. Good name. So clean, so very clean. There are a couple that kind of break this trend of actual names. Murder. That's a little on the nose, isn't it? And we end up getting the same thing for Mercy. Potentially my personal favorite is to just do 6 A's. Not very creative. Big implications here. If you were to do Chara, the true name. Frisk, warning, this name will make your life hell. Proceed anyway. This actually activates a hard mode within the game. I'm not going to do it right now, I'll explore that a bit more later. And similar to Deltarune, when you enter Gaster, the game resets to the intro sequence. There's one more, or realistically a trio of names, that is the most highly specific thing and results in the world's most highly specific reference and interaction imaginable, but if you were to name the character Drac, Gigi, or Gugu, then much later in the game, when you get the steak in the shape of Metaton's face. Normally this shows up in your inventory as face steak, but if you made your name one of these three things, it will instead be F-Steak. Gigi DG is an artist that provided some additional artwork in Undertale as well as testing. Way back when they made a Persona 4 fan comic, and F-Steak is a hyper-specific reference to that.
As in, your futile existence has no meaning. Chie, do you know any other words that start with F?
For steak?
Excellent!
As a callback to when Brendan and I played through Undertale together on the channel, I'm going to name the character Klaus and move on. At the beginning of the game, we're introduced to Flowey. I would say to just pay a slight bit of attention to the happy little ditty that plays in the background during this opening sequence here. Flowey's introducing you to the little battle mechanic, introducing it to us as friendliness pellets. He even gives us a little shifty eye when he says it. He encourages us to collect them. If we instead dodge around, we see an increasingly annoyed Flowey. Hey buddy, you missed them. I also want you guys to notice that the song becomes slightly distorted and slightly slower. Let's try again, okay? Listen for it. Getting a little bit more warped now. Is this a joke? Are you brain dead? Run into the bullets! Now calling him for friendliness pellets. He erases it and corrects himself. Now he's getting pretty angry. You know what's going on here, don't you? You just wanted to see me suffer. Coming at us full force. Die! Try to avoid them closing in on you. It gets interrupted. And sweet, sweet Toriel comes in to save the day. Two incredibly quick things that I might as well bring up now. Toriel's name is obviously a reference to a tutorial, the beginning of a game where it introduces you to the concepts you're going to need throughout for the rest of the gameplay. Being a fan of Kingdom of Loathing, I am a big sucker for characters that have names which are a play on words of tutorial. There's no direct connection between Toriel and the tutorial, I just think they're both funny examples of this. And on top of all of that, just the wild foresight behind these games, the fact that Toriel as a dreamer wears the Deltarune as their family crest. It's just incredible how when Undertale first came out, we had so little understanding of the significance that would truly hold. Toriel kind of solves this puzzle for us, but you can actually reverse engineer it and look at what the puzzle would have been. Only the fearless may proceed, brave ones, foolish ones, both walk not the middle road. In which case you would push down every button except for the middle two, exactly like Toriel did, and then I promptly went and ruined. Because I'm in the ruins! It's just what you do. In this section, Toriel labels for you which one of these she wants you to push. You can totally ignore her, run past her, and go and grab the wrong one before she's finished telling you what's going on. No, no, no! You want to press the other switch. I even labeled it for you. This one is a bit of a pain to pull off and took me several attempts to do properly. I'm not proud of how many tries it actually ended up taking. Maybe there's a better way to do it, but it seems to me that it requires like semi-flawless execution. Wow, you are super fast at being wrong. Thanks for noticing, Toriel. Toriel sets us up to fight the practice dummy. If we talk to her first, do you need some ideas for conversation topics? Well, I often start with the simple, how do you do? You could ask them about their favorite books. Jokes can be useful for breaking the ice. Listen to this one. What did the skeleton tile his roof with? Shingles. Well, I thought it was amusing. During the fight, you talk to the dummy. It doesn't seem much for conversation. Toriel seems happy with you, giving us a big old thumbs up in the corner there, but it doesn't really matter for the fight itself. Ah, very good. You are very good. You can still talk to the dummy even without doing that first, and the reaction is still the same. You still win. Toriel's still happy. Doesn't really change anything. Your next option is to simply spare the dummy over and over and over again. Go ahead and spam that a few times. Dummy tires of your aimless shenanigans. You won. If we choose to fight and attack, but never actually attack and simply receive misses, after, I think, the 8th miss, the dummy similarly is tired of your shenanigans and wanders away. And the most simple, straightforward option is to simply attack it and finish it off. It has, like, next to no health. You're gonna kill it very easily. Toriel's upset. She wanted us to talk to it. This is something very particular that people noticed a long time ago, and I still am not confident anyone knows what to make of it. Toriel's battle sprite is like 99.5% black and white, except she has red colored eyes. She's one of the only battle sprites that has any color in her character whatsoever. Just thought that was worth sharing. I'm sure lots of people found this on their own playthrough, but at the very end of the long hallway with this pillar, you can check behind it and Toriel's just kind of camping out back there. I assume people will ask if you interact with this like dozens, hundreds of times. Doesn't matter, it's going to be the same response every time. After this little sequence, Toriel tells you that she has some important business, says that things are very dangerous, and asks you to wait here by yourself. This is also when you first receive the cell phone. There are options here where you can actually call Toriel. There's a bunch of different dialogue branches and she has particular responses to all of them. This is Toriel, you only wanted to say hello. Aw, that's so nice or whatever, hello. Most of the interactions are along the same line as that. There are videos specifically dedicated to it, so I'm gonna leave that alone for now. Other people have found specific things, like later in the game, you can call Papyrus in like every individual room of the game, and he'll have different dialogue within every individual room of the game. As fun as I think that would be to cover, other people have done it very thoroughly, so I'm probably gonna leave out things like that. After about 4 minutes, you get your first phone call. Hello, this is Toriel. My errands are taking longer than I thought they would. You must wait 5 more minutes. Thank you for being patient. Hello? This is Toriel. I found what I was looking for, but before I could take it, a small white puppy snatched it away. How odd. Do dogs even like flour? That is an unrelated question, of course. It will take a little longer. Please understand. And it is very serious about that. You have to wait in real time for 5 more minutes. I've heard it said that waiting here forever for Goat Mom is like the true pacifist route. You just never leave this room. No one gets hurt. We get the next call, just a pause. You hear heavy panting on the other end of the phone. Bark, 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 bark. You hear a distant voice. Stop, please. Come back here with my cell phone. We now know that the dog has stolen the phone. If you try to call the dog, somewhere, signals deflected by a dog. It doesn't matter which of the dialogue options you choose, you get the same thing each time. Snore, snore. It sounds like a small white dog is sleeping on the cell phone. You hear a distant voice. Hello, little puppy. Where are you? I'll give you a nice pat on the head. The snoring stops. If you return my cell phone, the snoring resumes. After calling the dog again, it's the same thing as before. Our next call coming in. Pause. Snore. Snore. Achoo! It sounds like a small white dog sneezing in its sleep. You hear a distant voice. Here, puppy. Oh dear, I should not keep my guest waiting any longer. Oh no, how long has it been since I've talked to them? Perhaps they've been calling the phone and... Here, puppy. The next call. Snore, snore. Yawn. Blink, blink. Yawn. Snore, snore. You hear a tired voice. Doggy. Here, doggy. Oh dear. I do wonder how they are. And one final call comes in. Snore, snore, click. Now normally after leaving the room we get, "Hello, this is Toriel. You've not left the room, have you? There are a few puzzles ahead that I have yet to explain. It would be dangerous to try to solve them yourself. Be good, alright?" If after waiting that full, 30 minutes of the annoying dog taking the phone and all the shenanigans, you finally walk out of the room, we get our call from Toriel, now changed. "Hello? Hello? This is Toriel. My apologies. A strange dog kidnapped my phone. So if you've called, I could not have helped you. However, I have recovered it. And you're still in that room, are you not? What a good child you are. There are a few puzzles ahead that I have yet to explain. It would be dangerous to try and solve them yourself. Be good, alright?" If you walk back to the far left of this room, we get a few frames of Flowey disappearing back into the ground. This is our first piece of evidence that Flowey kind of stalks the player throughout the game. There seem to be 11 different known examples of this. This is one of the few times I'm gonna venture out beyond the runes for this video. This is very thoroughly covered by Sirosaki. In their video description, they very graciously say that others are allowed to use what they found in this video, and they simply ask that credit be given. So here I'm saying that the legwork for this was put in by Sirosaki. They did an incredible job summarizing all this. Backtracking in the ruins is the first one. The second can be found when going backwards in the Frogget room. Again, after meeting Sans and Papyrus. After solving Papyrus's second X and O puzzle. After talking to Sans and Papyrus on the long bridge that leads to Snowdin. In the bottom left of this flower puzzle room. In the big Echo Flower room. Going back to the kitchen after Metaton's cooking show. After defusing the bombs. After this grayscale multicolor tile puzzle. And finally after the blue room with the lasers within. Allow me to say thank you one more time to Sirosaki for both doing the legwork and finding all of that, as well as putting together the footage. I'm going to toss a link to that video in the description because that is a lot of work to do, and I'm going to admit that I didn't have the patience to do it myself, so that is entirely on them. They did a great job. More like Flowey. Am I right? Yeah, I nailed that. In this top room with the bowl full of candy, it says, "Take one. Take a piece of candy? Yes." Taking a second piece, you took more candy. How disgusting. Your third piece, you take another piece. You feel like the scum of the earth. Number 4, you took too much too fast. The candy spills onto the floor. If you interact with the spilled over candy, look at what you've done. The start of a genocide run. Not actually though. This has no consequence to pacifist or genocide. Don't worry about that. 3 out of 4 gray rocks recommend you push them, kind of referencing the fact that we have the one snarky rock that doesn't like being pushed. Interestingly, during this particular puzzle, where you would push rocks 2 and 3, with the 4th one giving you trouble, you can actually disregard the other 2 rocks and simply push this one to solve the puzzle, and I just thought that was kind of interesting. When you start committing down the path of cheering up Napstablook, they eventually create their hat and become Dapper Blook. If you then change tactics and threaten, you give Napstablook a cruel look. I knew it. And then they start crying again. Or you can continue to cheer, and instead of having them cry harder than ever, then Napstablook gets out of the way. There are so many little micro interactions like that across this game, different ways that you can play around with the various monsters and characters. I don't know how many of them would be considered, quote, secrets or Easter eggs. People are going to have to let me know whether or not covering that sort of thing feels excessive. I think they're interesting, but it's also the sort of thing people might incidentally encounter on their own playthroughs anyways, so you'll have to let me know whether or not that's worth including in follow-up videos. I hear you can use F4 for full screen, but what does F4 stand for? 4 frogs? I have only seen a maximum of 3 frogs in this room. This is troubling, to say the least. We have the 2 frogs standing around. If you interact with this part of the wall, there's an ant-sized frog in a crack in the wall. It waves at you. This frog in the wall being the 3rd of the 3 maximum frogs. The Luke's family name is Eyewalker, meaning that his full name is Luke's Eyewalker. So it's, when you say it together, it's supposed to kind of sound like Luke Skywalker. Talking to the second frog, I have heard you are quite merciful for a human. Surely you know by now a monster wears a yellow name when you can spare it. What do you think of that? It's bad. Really? Then I'll tell all my friends to tell their friends' friends, never use yellow names. How about that? No more yellow names. Okay, I will let them know not to use yellow names. At which point for the rest of the game, when you go to spare things, they'll no longer have yellow, it'll simply be white. How are you doing without yellow names? It's great. Bring them back. Huh? It's rather inconvenient that you changed your mind like this. Since I told everyone not to use yellow names, everyone threw theirs out. Well, last year it was fashionable to have pink names. I think everyone still has those in their closet somewhere. I'll ask everyone to look, but this is the last time. At which point Spare is now this kind of Pepto-Bismol pink. And it'll be like that the rest of the game. So hopefully you like pink. The best part is much later in the game, when you're in the garbage dump, there's a pile of yellow names in this trash pile. I love these sort of callback interactions in this game, it's why I truly love it. In the cupboard, there are cookie cutters for gingerbread monsters, because they wouldn't have gingerbread men. There is this little plant out in the hallway. You've seen this type of plant before, but you do not know its name. At the far end of this hallway, we have the room under renovations. It's important later in the game, don't worry about it for now. Inside Toriel's room at her bookshelf, it's an encyclopedia of subterranean plants. You open to the middle. Typha, a group of wetland flowering plants with brown oblong seed pods, which many of you probably know as cattails, but known more commonly as water sausages. If we then go back into the hall and interact with either one of these plants... Oh! It is a water sausage! Inside Toriel's diary, we have a circled passage. You read the passage. Why did the skeleton want a friend? Because she was feeling bonely. The rest of the page is filled with jokes of a similar caliber. Based on much later in the game where we learn that Sans and Toriel have this sort of relationship, I think there's a legitimate chance that these are jokes that Sans told Toriel and she then wrote down. It would make sense that one of the first jokes he told was a skeleton joke. I think we could even take that one step further with the joke she suggests telling the dummy also being a skeleton joke. We have our happy home music playing, and when you turn out the light, we get a slightly more nighttime themed song to go along with it. Very interesting and kind of messed up that we have this picture of a flower on the wall, but because of the color palette, we can't really quite tell how Flowey-esque it truly is. When we climb on downstairs, we will get interrupted by Toriel. I think you should play upstairs instead. If you continue to keep going down, it's dangerous to play here. It is drafty here. You will catch a cold. It is dusty here. You will catch a cold. There is nothing to see here. Do you want to read a book? I do not like the game you are playing. Starting to get stern, Toriel. Why not go for a walk in the yard? Really now. Eventually she kind of gives up with the excuses and the suggestions, and we just get the ellipses. And from that point on, repeating the cycle just brings up the same interaction. If you call Toriel right in front of her, hey, you silly child, if you want to talk to me, I'm right here. Toriel, in her chariot, is reading her book 72 Uses for Snails. Through various dialogue interactions before she gets up and leaves, she might share a few of those facts. No, there are not 72 of them. How about an exciting snail fact? Did you know that snails sometimes flip their digestive systems as they mature? Here is an exciting snail fact. Did you know that snails talk really slowly? Just kidding, snails don't talk. Did you know that snails have a chainsaw-like tongue called a radula? Did you know that snails make terrible shoelaces? So there's really only the 4 different results of that. There are a lot of deviations that take place with this particular fight, which starts to be very true for the rest of the game. There is an insane amount of alternate dialogues and pathways programmed into things. Covering the ruins by themselves was kind of a nice warm-up for me since the deviations are pretty minor and easy enough to tackle. It gets complicated very quickly. Honestly, it's very daunting for me to take on, so I kind of started small. If you try to talk to Toriel over and over during that fight, you eventually get, ironically, talking does not seem to be the solution to this situation, considering she's the one who so heavily pushed for that. Losing the fight is actually a little bit of a challenge, since Toriel will specifically start avoiding you and trying not to defeat you. If you manage to squeeze it in and take the full brunt of the damage in time, we get this quick frame of a shocked Toriel as she regrets what she has done. You pretty much have to die within the first 2 attacks before she starts fully pulling her punches. Then you just kind of get the same regular game over screen. After sparing Toriel when she walks off, 1, she stops answering your calls, which is quite sad. You can backtrack upstairs and go to bed. Please, wake up. You are the future of humans and monsters. But you can carry on and backtrack through the entirety of the ruins. One funny thing ending back at the spike puzzle is that we realize even without Toriel leading us, you literally can't fail it. It won't let you walk anywhere other than where the spikes drop. Back at the very beginning of the game, in the room with the flower bed that we drop into, we find Toriel waiting. Do not worry about me. Someone has to take care of these flowers. Golden flowers. They must have broken your fall. This scene is a little bit nice because we get to see that Toriel has some remaining purpose, but it's also devastating because the game does imply that the first fallen human is buried underneath this flower bed. It's something that Toriel's never fully let go of and that she remains tending to this day. Hey, while we're at it being super depressing and a big downer about things, Toriel specifically says she's going to lead us through the catacombs, which quite literally are underground cemeteries. Later on in Toriel's repeated dialogue, she also warns about things being very dusty. What happens to monsters when they die? They turn into dust. These ruins that we're walking through during this tutorial are quite literally a cemetery for dead monsters, likely for those who died during the war. Toriel's just too good for us. And if you happen to kill a few of the monsters along the way before sparing Toriel and going down the long hallway and confronting Flowey again, clever. Very clever. You think you're really smart, don't you? In this world, it's kill or be killed. So you were able to play by your own rules. You spared the life of a single person. Frogget, Whimsum, Vegetoid, Lukes, Migsop, Moldsmall. Think about those names. Do you think any of those monsters have families? Do you think any of them have friends? Each one could have been someone else's Toriel. Selfish brat. Somebody is dead because of you. If you commit to a full pacifist run when you see Flowey, clever, very clever. You think you're really smart, don't you? In this world, it's kill or be killed. So you were able to play by your own rules. You spared the life of a single person. I bet you feel really great. You didn't kill anybody this time. But what will you do if you meet a relentless killer? You'll die and you'll die and you'll die. Until you tire of trying. What will you do then? Will you kill out of frustration? Or will you give up entirely on this world? And let me inherit the power to control it. I am the prince of this world's future. Don't worry, my little monarch. My plan isn't regicide. This is so much more interesting. At which point we get a morphing, terrifying Flowey. More so than usual, even. If you actually spare Toriel first, reload, come back and kill her. After living our horrible genocide life, we talk to Flowey. Wow, you're utterly repulsive. You spared her life, then you decided that that just wasn't interesting enough for you? So you murdered her just to see what would happen? You killed her out of boredom? You naive idiot. Do you think you're the only one with that power? The power to reshape the world? Purely by your own determination? The ability to play God? The ability to save? I thought I was the only one with that power, but I cannot save anymore. Apparently your desires for this world override mine. Well, well. Enjoy that power while you can. I'll be watching. Flowey, after killing various monsters, including Toriel. I hope you like your choice. After all, it's not as if you can go back and change fate. In this world, it's kill or be killed. That old hag thought she could break the rules. She tried so hard to save you humans, but when it came down to it, she couldn't even save herself. What an idiot. If after heartlessly killing Goat Mom we decide to come upstairs and sleep in our bed again, your name, please, wake up. You are the future of humans and monsters. At which point we get a slightly slower version of the song Fallen Down. You can stop it and start it by turning the light off and on again. If you want to be truly sinister, there is a betrayal death here, where you lead Toriel along all the way before the final spare opportunity, and then attack you at my most vulnerable moment. To think I was worried you wouldn't fit in out there. You really are no different than them. First, if you kill Toriel and then reload in order to save her, we get this slight dialogue variance right before the fight. Prove yourself. Prove to me that you're strong enough to survive. Wait. Why are you looking at me like that? Like you've seen a ghost. Do you know something that I do not? No, that is impossible. After this weird ghost mention, if you choose to talk to Toriel, you thought about telling Toriel that you saw her die. But that's creepy. Can you show mercy without fighting or running away? Or if instead you killed Toriel the first time and reset in order to go back and save her? Clever. Very clever. You think you're really smart, don't you? In this world, it's kill or be killed. So you were able to play by your own rules. You spared the life of a single person. But don't act so cocky. I know what you did. You murdered her. And then you went back because you regretted it. You naive idiot. Do you think you're the only one with that power? Then he gives us the same speech about determination and playing God and using saves. Well, enjoy the power while you can. I'll be watching. If you fulfill the requirements of a true genocide route, you're not really human, are you? No, you're empty inside, just like me. In fact, your player name, right? We're still inseparable after all these years. Listen, I have a plan to become all-powerful, even more powerful than you and your stolen soul. Let's destroy everything in this wretched world. Everyone, everything in these worthless memories. Let's turn them all to dust.
That's a wonderful idea.
Then we get to hear Flowey, actually speak for the first time, and it honestly sounds a little bit like Jevil. I wouldn't connect those two. It's probably just generated using the same piece of software or whatever, but kind of neat. Pretty creepy. If you really go for it, kill Toriel, reload, and kill Toriel again? You just can't get enough, can you? How many more times will you kill her? You disgusting animal. You didn't even try to spare her. Every subsequent time after that, as many times as you want, you sicko, Flowey will say, wow, you really can't get enough. You kind of remind me of myself. Indicating that maybe when Flowey had this power, this is the sort of stuff he would do. So yeah, we're as bad as him now. Now's a good chance for us to circle all the way back around when you're first naming the fallen human, making it Frisk. You get the warning about activating hard mode. Yes, that's what I want. When activating hard mode, we're dropped into the ruins, same as usual, but the enemies we encounter in the game are replaced by more difficult late game enemies. Every time you're hit, it'll deal 5 damage, meaning you'll die in only 4 hits. So yeah, it makes things pretty tricky. The correct switches are no longer labeled for us. There's not a bunch of arrows and text on the wall saying, please grab this switch. And when you encounter these more difficult enemies, that doesn't seem correct. We have Final Frogget and Astigmatism, the endgame versions of Frogget and Luke's. Standard encounters like Napstablook don't change in hard mode. Yes, you take 5 damage, but it's not like an alternate harder version of the character. In the normal game, when first reaching the home, Toriel has baked you a cinnamon butterscotch pie. Want you to have a nice time, so I will hold off on snail pie for tonight. Once you climb into bed and wake up, you'll have this slice of butterscotch cinnamon pie waiting for you. Jumping way ahead, if you save this piece of pie throughout the majority of the game and eat it in front of Asgore during that battle, it'll actually weaken his attacks and defense, making that battle slightly easier. It's a pretty down and dirty trick like that to use his ex-wife's cooking against him. When you wake up in the morning in hard mode, Toriel accidentally makes you a slice of snail pie. So I guess all that conversation about cinnamon and butterscotch didn't matter. Info about the snail pie, it heals some HP, an acquired taste. And when you use it, it actually only heals about 4 HP. The Toriel battle is pretty much the same. She'll still intentionally try to not kill you. When you land the finishing blow, you are stronger than I thought. Listen to me, small one. We get the same little monologue as we did before, telling us to go on, go forward, warning us of Asgore. After my child, the annoying dog actually walks in. And that's the end of hard mode. Eh? You are ending it now? And on such a dramatic moment? That's the difficult part. Not the bullets, but accepting that it's all over. But there will be more, will there not? Maybe, knowing the answer is hard. Ha. Toriel stands up just fine. Hey, aren't you supposed to be dying or something? Well, what is the point of that now? What will you do instead? Perhaps I will bake another pie. That last one ended up a little burnt. And full of snails, but that's besides the point. I thought it was good. Theoretically. It's not like I ate it while you were fighting. Slight frustration and a turn as she walks away. Hey, can I have some pie? You were just going to eat it all. I can help. Snoring on the floor is not help. I'm not snoring. I'm cheering you on in my sleep. Oh, you're still here? Don't you have anything better to do? Well, not really. At which point it cuts away to Undertale hard mode. Coming. Maybe. Don't count on it. And that is the end of Undertale hard mode. We then get Flowey jumping in at the very end after you've sat here for a while. Hey, what's the holdup? Shouldn't she be dead by now? I've been waiting in that room for... hard mode? Gee, you better take a picture. People are gonna think you're really cool. Not. Golly, talk about a tryhard. Pah! That tick. So, are you gonna keep going, or... It's over. I knew that. Why does everyone have to be so condescending? So what's your excuse, sitting around here? Don't you have anything better? I already said that. And then Flowey slips away and things fade out. Having the game restart. As you continue to spare, and she pleads for us to please go back, please go upstairs. And right as Toriel's about to let us truly go, the annoying dog walks in, and that's the end of hard mode. Regardless of if you do the genocide or pacifist version of this, you still get the same little bit of dialogue about aren't you supposed to be dying or something. It plays out the same, you just don't have Toriel standing back up on her feet. This is everything I can possibly think to share about the Undertale ruins for now. If anyone knows of anything major that I missed, I can absolutely revisit that in a future video. It's going to be a struggle to figure out a nice convenient way to approach the future videos of this, with the increasingly absurd layers of complexity that begin to unfold in this game. I'll do my best to come up with something logical. For anyone who's unfamiliar, this is kind of a relaunched version of the Two Left Thumbs channel. That original channel is being relegated to Let's Play content only, and bigger videos like this, reviews, special series that I do are going to be here on this channel. I think that'll make things a little bit cleaner for people who choose to subscribe. I know like 10,000 plus people subscribed to the other channel for the old Deltarune Secrets content, and then may have been disappointed to realize it's like 99% Let's Play content. I'm uploading this as the first video as kind of like a trial, test the waters, see if people are willing to hop over to a second channel. If this does well, I'll continue to upload content like this, and we can grow the two channels separately, this one with nice in-depth secrets and analyses and reviews and such, and the other channel will be 100% Let's Play content. I'm trying it out. I hope you guys don't mind bearing with me during this little transitional period. So in these end cards here, there's going to be two little subscribe buttons. I'll make it nice and clear which is which. One of them is for the Let's Play channel, one is for this new channel with this type of content only. I would love if you subscribe to either one or both, but if you choose not to, I thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you again soon.